Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. I'm Reverend C.C. Coltrane. Welcome to Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Dayton. If you're here for the first time, we welcome you and thank you for spending your morning with us. On your bulletin cover is a tear-off form that you can give us your contact information on. You can take it over to the Welcome Center after the service, and they have a welcome packet for you. You can also ask any questions you have at that point. That we will not abuse your email address, I promise. Every week I send out a little spiritual pick-me-up in the middle of the week, and occasionally, very occasionally, we send out an email about a special event. Other than that, no one else gets your email, I promise. Becky, that was a wicked laugh. That was a wicked laugh.
It was wickedly nice.
Our pulpit assistant this morning is Stephanie Stewart. Our vigil holder is Judy Nussmacher. And our interfaith candle lighting will be done by Stephanie Stewart and Linda Andriaco. And I'm no sorry, yes. Is that right?
Yes.
Good. Oh. We were missing our written schedule this morning, so we're kind of making it up as we go along, but what else is new, right? We do this interfaith candle lighting because we draw from all of the world's religious and spiritual traditions, and it's just to remind us that there are all sorts of wells bubbling up from the fountain, the font of all wisdom. I will just give you a disclaimer at the moment. If I sound like I'm lisping, it is kind of, I am, because I've had entirely too much stress in my life lately. My dog is terminally ill, and my husband has just had some shots in his back to help him out, and I'm just a little crazy. Even as good as I am at trying to take care of myself, I kind of missed this one. So keep me in your prayers. That's all I would ask. Thank you. It's time for us to sing to our kids, and when we are finished with our song, who's up with them today? Mark Fowler, there he is, and Angie. Okay. So the teens are in the back already. Okay, good. So we're going to sing "You Are," and then we will invite our kids to go back and have a wonderful time.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Beyond your ages, this I know for you, as I know myself. You are splendid, you're unique, with the whole world at your feet. This I know for you, as I know myself. You are brother to the flowers, sister to the trees. This I know for you, as I know myself. As all life lives within you, you are one with God, it's true. This I know for you, as I know myself. This I know for you, as I know myself. This I know for you, as I know myself.
The first candle is lit in honor of Judaism. Behold, I give you a wise and discerning mind, so that none like you has been before you, and none like you shall rise after you. The second candle is lit in honor of Christianity. Let each one test his own work, and then his reason to boast will be in himself alone and not in his neighbor. The third candle is lit in honor of Hinduism. The Hindu scriptures say that two things are needed for any kind of creative activity: consciousness and energy. Consciousness is worshipped in the form of Shiva, and energy in the form of the Divine Mother, Sitaki. The initial creative inspiration, the effort to give it form, and the end result All are seen as being the grace of the divine. The fourth candle is lit in honor of Islam. Allah has granted human beings with the capacity to create and has left it for them to develop. The fifth candle is lit in honor of Taoism. Give birth to and nourish all things without desiring to possess them. Give of yourself without expecting something in return. Assist people, but do not attempt to control them. This is how to realize the deep virtue of the universe. The sixth candle is lit in honor of Sikhism. Created in God's own image, every human being is creative, for life itself has been created as a self-renewing, self-sustaining, creative process. The final candle is lit in honor of Buddhism. All experiences are preceded by mind, having mind as their master, created by mind.
Good morning. Good morning. Today's reading comes from our philosophy's founder, Ernest Holmes. You exist that the divine feeling, fire, imagination, and creativity may be expressed through you. The Spirit comes to you with a new and fresh creativity. You need not ask what others have done or how they have done it. Be yourself and express life as you find it. Never imitate. Trust the self. Find the self in God and God in the self. So if you'll take a few moments with me now to contemplate today's reading in silence. So here and now, centered in this place of love, I know that Spirit comes to each of us, through each of us, new and fresh and creative. I know that all that happens today is exactly as it should be. That life expresses here and now. And that life, this life, our life, God's life is a blessing. And we are each blessed and a blessing to one another. I know that we are all here by divine appointment, and that every note played, every word spoken, every hug, every handshake, every bit of laughter, every tear is ordained and holy. And I give thanks. And so it is.
I'm having Kenny get me some spare batteries just in case. So we've been talking about creativity, and here it is already the last Sunday in May. Surprise, surprise. Wow. Hard to believe. A colleague of mine once said that, she was talking about life's ups and downs and ins and outs, and she said, sometimes the only available mode of transportation is a leap of faith. I really like that. It's really true, right? Sometimes we're walking along the path we've been traveling, and we think we know where we're going, and we come to a place where there's no path. There's a chasm or a pool of water or something else that appears impassable. And the only way to get from here to there is a leap of faith. Sometimes that is the only available mode of transportation. sometimes we'll see something in the distance and it looks really beautiful and really good. And in between us and them is a mist-filled valley that we have no idea what's in there. And we have to take a leap of faith to get there. We just have to. We have all these wonderful, beautiful, creative ideas that flash across our mind all the time once we realize it. Once we realize that the currency of the universe is ideas, and once we learn to recognize that, we can start to open up to the ones that really speak to us, that are outside the pale of the thoughts that our minds generate, our brains generate to keep themselves entertained. There are these other thoughts that are the creative urges that really, really cry out to be followed. We look for those. We add one idea to the next. We stir in some imagination and some vision, and wow, how amazing is the resulting idea that we have in our minds, this creative project, if you will. We begin to develop, as we've spoken about before this month, creative confidence by shifting the way we think about ourselves. From being not creative to being creative. Every single one of us is a creative being. We're born that way. We're born that way. We just have to dare to become aware of it. To open ourselves up to the creative ideas we're having and the possibilities that those creative ideas raise. We have to dare to follow the path that those possibilities lead us on. And sometimes we have to dare to take a leap of faith when that's the only option available. Last week we talked about practices that help us rekindle the spark of creativity when it feels like it's dried up. You know, we walk as far as our logic and our planning and our intelligence will take us. And then sometimes we meditate and we vision and the creative juices flow again, and we walk a little farther, and because we're beyond what we already know, we arrive at that pathless place where the only transportation is a leap into what sometimes looks like thin air. Sometimes it looks like darkness. Sometimes it looks like, certainly, always it looks like the unknown. And these places scare us. They scare us, the unknown places, the leaps of faith places. They scare us because we don't know how it's going to turn out. But if you stop and think about it a little differently, those places are really feedback to us that we're on the right track. If there's no leap of faith required, our destination is too small. If there's nothing we have to go deep and find the courage to do, we're keeping ourselves stunted. If there's no moment where the help of a power greater than ourselves is required, we've aimed too low. We just have. We've said no to a bigger life. So the leap of faith, the pathless place, is actually a memo that says, you know, you're on the right track here. Just go. So let's talk about this leap of faith that's always required as we're trying to create a more richer, deeper spiritual connection, a bigger, more satisfying life, as we're trying to really discover what that unique gift is that we're here to give to the world. The first thing about it is, if you want something different, you have to let go of what you already have. Have you ever, I don't know about you, but I have always just been an enormous fan of the circus. I'm actually really happy that Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey decided to get rid of the elephants, and not so happy that they decided to close down, because for me the biggest attraction was never the animals. They made me feel kind of, always sad for them. The biggest attraction for me was what happened up there. Trapeze artists and contortionists and clowns and women riding horses on one leg, and all that really cool stuff that they did. But mostly what happened up there Trapeze, think about it for a minute. You know, a trapeze artist is standing on a little ledge and she grabs a bar and she swings out. And as she swings out, somebody else swings out too, and they come very close to each other. She must let go of her trapeze if she's to catch the hands of the guy who's there to catch her. I mean, how boring would it be if they each just took a bar and kind of went like this and then got off, right? That would be so dull. No one would pay to see that. No one would ever be thrilled to see it. You have to let go. Just at that moment when our fears say, oh, hold on tighter. You know, you're up there and you know you have to let go, and everything in your body says, no, don't let go. God, are you stupid? Don't let go. Hold on, hold on. The conscious mind has to step in, take a breath and say, we have to let go of this in order to grab that. We have to move from where we are in order to take a leap of faith. Can't be done any other way. You know, in trapeze, you stand up on the ledge, they toss the bar up to you, and you're kind of standing up there holding it, and then the guy who's calling the shot says, ready, and that means you take the bar with both hands and you bend your knees. And then he says, hut, and you have to launch yourself off. You can't just stand there, right? Nothing ever happens if you just stand there. You have to take a leap of faith, and you have to swing out, and you see another trapeze headed your way, and then you've got to let go of this bar and grab the next one. The scary moment is that when you're let go of one and you're waiting to grab the next one, you seem to just be hanging there in space. You are up in the air and there's nothing to hold on to. And that is the place we test our faith, which is simply being willing to live with uncertainty until you have your hands on the next swing. It is absolutely a part of the creative path we call life. That moment of going, I don't know how this is going to turn out. I don't know. I'm just going to have to sit here in the I don't know part. I don't have to tell you that that's not comfortable. There's a big part of our human brains that want to know this step and then this step and then this step and then we arrive at this place, right? It's not how it works, most generally. Part of us simply doesn't like knowing what's going to come, not knowing what's going to come next. And so a lot of us hang on to the bar. We don't take any chances. We just kind of swing back and forth and over the same swing, and nothing ever changes. We keep living the same life over and over and over. Are you, am I 60? Have I lived 1 year 60 times, or have I lived 60 deep, rich years? Some of both. Some of both, for sure. I think it helps us in that in-between moment to remember a couple things. The first one is this. There's always a net. No intelligent trapeze artist works without a net. There's always a net, right? There is always the universe, this God, spirit, universal creative energy is always flowing through us. There is always a net. Because we are made from and in the likeness of and by God itself. In those moments, I think it helps to remember that there's a net. And even if the very worst thing imaginable happens, which it generally does not, have you noticed? The things we cook up in our brains are far worse than what actually happens. But even if that absolutely worst thing happens, we are still the place where spirit is expressed. We are still the place where God is made manifest in the world. And so, we're not going it alone. There's always a net. There is always creativity and power and presence available to us. We still have it all backing us. There's always a net. The third thing is this. Even if you were to fall, what happens? You bounce on the net. You bounce back up. Maybe there's a trapeze there. If you bounce just right and just high enough. It may not be the one you expected, but it'll be there, and you grab that and you're off again. Even if you don't grab a trapeze, what happens? You fall into the net, you bounce again, you climb back up the ladder, you stand on the ledge, you bend your knees, you grab that bar, and you swing, right? We're always safe. We're always safe and well and loved. We just forget it. Finally, if you're like me, you think that there's a whole bunch of preparation you have to do before you can take that leap. Yeah? I did a little research on trapeze flying this week. And there are several people out there. Do you know you can take lessons almost anywhere? I'm signing up. But I read about several people out there who didn't even start flying until they were 70 or over. And they didn't need a lot of preparation. I mean, in your 70s, you're generally not the strongest you've ever been in your life. But they started taking lessons. One of them actually became a performer. She just retired at 81. I'm not kidding you. No preparation other than a couple of lessons. They started doing it. There's a reporter, there's a little video from a reporter for the LA Times who was terrified. So he went so he could write about it. And he was kind of a round little guy with skinny arms, no muscle to speak of. And he took a lesson, and he did everything the instructors told him to do, including an aerial somersault when he was caught and by the other guy. Kristen Finley is a woman who just quit her job to become a trapeze artist. I just so admire her. She said, I always thought you had to be an amazing gymnast to do trapeze. It turns out you don't. What you have to do is trust others with your life and listen to every direction thrown at you. That's a lesson for life, she said, because often it's so hard to listen to what you're being told. She said, my father left LA only twice before he died. He was too worried about taking care of me. So I knew I needed to go explore. I knew I needed to do things because he never did. Even though I don't know where my next gig is going to be, I love the life I have now. I wouldn't trade it for the world. Yeah. I think most of us would say the same thing. You know, we take that leap of faith and we are transported to somewhere we haven't been before. And we say, I wouldn't trade this life I love for the world. And you know, when you think back about it, there's always been a little voice telling you what to do, right? There's always the guy saying, okay, bend your knees. Okay. Let go, swing out, let's get going here. When I some of you have heard this story, but it's my story, so I'm sticking to it. When I stepped out of law and into ministry, you know, there were a whole lot of people telling me I was crazy. I was crazy to do that. They had all sorts of reasons I shouldn't do it, but there was something in me giving me directions. I knew I had that safety net, but I still held onto my position with the law firm. I was afraid to let it go. But something in me knew I had to let go pretty soon, or I'd just be swinging, you know, until I lost the momentum, and then it's just hanging around, right? So what happened is one day one of my partners came in and said, I'm leaving to go to work with my dad's firm. So the three of us sat down and started discussing what we were going to do. And all of a sudden I just said, you know what? I'm leaving too. And so we went from 3 partners to 1 remaining. He's still there in less than a month. And I walked out of there and into a new life. And it's a life I love and I would not trade for the world. That's what happens. I read a quote from somebody, one of these older ladies who took up flying late in life. And she said, trying trapeze means you literally and metaphorically have to aim high. You know the net's there, but you have to let your vision and your actions be aimed high. My vision, the vision that was driving me, was aimed much higher than make some money and retire early, right? This was a sort of a burning soul desire to do ministry. It was the vision of my soul. So I love that, you know. Literally and metaphorically, we have to aim high with our vision. The trapeze is a powerful metaphor, I think, for life because, you know, you're enough right now. You don't need to go do a bunch of special preparations. You're enough right now. You're prepared right now to pursue that beautiful vision of your heart. You're prepared right now to Follow whatever that is that's been pulling on your hair, saying, come this way, come this way. You are prepared. Aim your vision high. 2, you might fall from time to time, but 3, there's always a net. And 4, it always takes a leap of faith to get from where you are to where you want to be. About that leap of faith, there was a Scottish explorer, William Murray, who said, until one is committed, there is always hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts and all creation, there is one elementary truth, ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. That the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. A whole stream of events issues from that decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance, which no man could have dreamt would have come his way. Yeah, providence moves too. Creativity is our greatest asset. It allows us to imagine something in the world that does not yet exist. It's a piece of art maybe, or a relationship, or a job, or a world that works for everyone. Wow. A world where everyone's fed and enfranchised and cared for. We can imagine it, and then we can build it, idea by idea, leap of faith by leap of faith. Creativity is our greatest asset because its product gives to the world and its action feeds us internally. When we deny our own creativity, we kind of get dried up. And sometimes we have to sing over the bones of our ideas until they come back to life. We have to let our creativity guide us in the song to sing and the steps to take and the way to take that leap when we come to the pathless place. And to let it feed our knowledge that we're always loved, we're always supported, there's always a net. Creativity is the divine urge to do something that can only be done by you. It can't be done by anybody else. It's the divine urge to do something that feeds us and the world. All of that undergirded by providence, spirit, God, the universe. Once we leap, providence moves too. So grab the bar, bend your knees, take that leap. And so join me now in a moment of conscious unity and oneness. As we come together in consciousness, we remember the very truth of our being. That there is only one, that one is God. That one is perfect. And God's life is our life now. There is only one creative force and impulse in the universe, and it spoke into being out of itself all that exists. And it continues to maintain creation, moment by moment, hour by hour, day by day, year by year, century by century, and eon by eon, holding the galaxies in place and the planets in their orbits and the orbits around the stars so that life can make its appearance over and over and over, so that creativity may bless our world and ourselves over and over and over, so that the very creativity of God can be expressed in this creation and that creation, and yet something brand new, and yet again and again and again and again. That is how Spirit is. Endlessly creative, endlessly creating, endlessly entering it into form and changing from one form to the next as forms break down, and yet are newly created over and over and over. Always new, always evolving, always expressing life itself. And that is the truth about us and each one of us. We are made in the image and likeness of God, and we are given that same creativity in order to do something that has never been done in this world, to create something that has never been created, to cast our vision high and allow ourselves to fall and be held and buoyed up, and to allow ourselves to find the courage to take the leap of faith when necessary, to go from here to what is not yet, to what has never been, to that which is the higher expression of who we came here to be. And so what I know for each of us is all the courage necessary. All the courage necessary. All the awareness necessary to remember. To remember who we are. To remember that which is behind us. And in front of us, and above us, and below us, and all around us, and flowing through us. That we never do it alone. For we are one with God. And knowing this is the truth about us, I give great thanks. I give thanks for this time we have to celebrate together this amazing path called life. This time we have to remember precisely what we really are and who we really are. And so in this place of deep gratitude, I simply let go. I know that the universe is already saying yes to each one of us. First it's saying, get ready, bend your knees, now leap. And so I simply release these words, knowing it's already done. And we say together, and so it is. Before we go any farther, let's just take a moment in silence to give thanks for all of those servicemen and women who have given their lives to protect our country, to allow it to evolve. Let us give them great gratitude of heart, knowing that their sacrifice was at the time a courageous one, a brave one, a heartfelt one. And let us also keep in our hearts the idea that we could create a world where war is not necessary, is unthinkable. This is one of the paradoxes of life, to hold in our hearts this deep gratitude in memory of all who gave their lives. And at the same time a vision where that no longer is a thing. So as you go out to celebrate Memorial Day tomorrow, give thanks again and again and again for all of those who have lost their lives in any armed conflict in behalf of our country. And now if our ushers will please come forward, we'll take an opportunity to give in support of the work of this center. Amazing things happen here. People discover who they are, and they start to brighten up, and they change, and they discover the joy of community, and they start to enliven them. They're enlivened from foot to head, and their eyes sparkle, and they wake up to who they are, and then they become to give all that they are to the world. And the only way that happens is through your gifts and offerings. So thank you. Thank you very much. If you'll take your gift in your hands or in your heart, if you give automatically as I do, and affirm with me, I am joyful.
I am joyful.
I am free.
I am free.
I am grateful.
I am grateful.
I give with gratitude.
I give with gratitude.
And I say yes
And I say yes
to all the good life has to offer.
to all the good life has to offer.
And so it is.
It's birthday Sunday. Yeah, we have birthday cookies today, so happy birthday to Jalen Thomas, Linda Farmer, Michael Cornwell, Ton Singh, Walt Wildenhouse, Teresa Ramsey, Jean Licklider, David Middlestetter, Kayla Folker, Scott McKenzie, Michelle Landy, and Wayne Ramsey. Join us in the social hall.
And our bass player, Jimmy Browning.
Jimmy Browning! So join us in the social hall after service for birthday cookies. Birthday cookies. We have birthday cookies. Okay. So, could I have the folks from the Community First team please stand? I don't know who's here. So Linda and Judy and Lindsay. Excellent. Okay. So today is the deadline to join a Sacred Circle home group. We have a men's group, a boomers group, a young adults group, and 2 general interest groups. These circles meet in people's homes. They give you a safe place to grow spiritually and offer you care, connection, and belonging. We have amazing group leaders, as you can see. Keith Kunderklein is also one of our leader champions. Let's see, could we have some of the group leaders stand? Are some of the group leaders willing to stand? The Coopers, I see you. There's Rich Kaplan, yeah. Okay, I guess that's, let's see, Angie and Carol are leading the young adult group. Okay, so, I lost my place. You'll meet each month to share food, spiritual deepening, and friendship. So pick up an application over here on the table, fill it out, and get it to Reverend Cece or any of these ladies here that you see standing. And I do promise that you'll be very glad that you did it. Your life will be enriched and deepened for it. So thank you very much, ladies. If you're new or new-ish, we invite you to join Reverend Cece for Rapping with the Rev on June 11th after service. There'll be some food and talk about what you want from the center and its community. Anybody can come, and Reverend Cece especially wants to invite those who are relatively new to the community. It is from noon to 1:15 on Sunday, June 11th. We have 2 Cooking with God events that do have some openings. One coming up this Saturday, June 3rd, is the wonderful wine tasting from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And the other one is the leisurely bicycle ride, the Tour de Youngs, on June 17th. You can either call the office or leave a note for Clara. Please see the last page of your bulletin insert for the calendar of upcoming events. There's a lot going on. Also on beginning the third Sunday in June, we are asking that you participate in service. For anyone that would like to do the candle lighting service, the 3rd Sunday in a month will be designated for congregant members to do the candle lighting service. There's a sign-up sheet right over here behind the Welcome Center. So if you're interested in doing that, please go sign up. If no one signs up or not enough people sign up, please know you'll be asked. So if you would like prayer after service, licensed prayer practitioners, any of us wearing one of these, we would love to pray with you. We are very good at seeing the spiritual truth for you. This is our gift to you on Sunday. It's a 1-minute miracle is what we like to call it. You could also put a written prayer request in the prayer box on the table back by the door there, and we'll pick it up after service. So here we go. For the first 3 minutes after service, don't talk to anyone you know very well. Find someone you don't know well, start a conversation, and don't forget to get at least 10 hugs in, and don't forget birthday cookies. Thank you to everyone who made this morning's service possible, our ushers and greeters, practitioners, the welcome team, the Higher Mind Band, Reverend Cece, and all of you. If you'll please stand with me now for the closing affirmation, and after that our closing song is Stand.
I am standing up.
So please affirm with me, I trust the creative force within me.
I trust the creative force within me.
I stand ready.
I stand ready.
And I take a leap of faith.
And I take a leap of faith.
Knowing I am loved and supported.
Knowing I am loved and supported.
And so it is.
And so